Hi crafty friends, it's Shana from ShanoukiArt. Today I'm going to show you how I create these layered embellishments, and I have a little bit of a formula just to make it easier. These are great to make as a mass make and then have them handy for when you're making your journals. When I say formula, I just mean it is what pieces I use and where I place them to create balance and interest. To start, I have this interesting piece of paper that I have from an old calendar that I'm going to 10:3. I really like the rough end that it has on the one side, so I'm going to keep that as part of the embellishment. And then I'm going to have a different piece of paper. I'm using music sheet paper for one, and then a piece from an old book for the other. And this one I'm going to cut slightly bigger than the first piece that I had. I started off making 3 for this video, but ended up eventually only making 2. But you can see how the formula is going to work. And then we're going to need a third piece of paper that's going to be slightly smaller than the 2 we've already put down. I'm going to use these vintage style altered cards. These are part of my full deck ArtStacks kit available at ArtStacks. I will put that link in the description box below. These are available in a ready-to-use printed format, or you can buy the digital version and download and print yourself. So this formula is going to use 7 pieces for each embellishment stack. I'm just trimming the cards down. I'm going to also use my corner punch to round off the edges, and then I'm going to tear each card in half, as I'm only going to use half the card. Remember, you can use any cardstock or paper that you have in your stash. I'm just going for more of a vintage look for mine. So what we have so far are 3 pieces of paper, one smaller than the next, but all about the same width. And when we put them down, we're going to put the larger one at the back with the other 2 on the top overlapping at different levels. You want to be able to see a little bit of each paper and design. Next, we need some kind of backing for our focal point. Using my round punch, I'm going to punch a piece of cardstock, one brown and one light green, and this will be placed in the bottom left hand corner of the embellishment stack. It doesn't have to be a circle, it can be a square piece of cardstock that you've torn. It could be any kind of shape and any kind of material you choose. For my focal point, I'm using this butterfly, which is also available in the full deck kit that I spoke about earlier. I'm going to fussy cut around the butterfly. It has those beautiful vintage browns and some green. Again, you can use anything for your focal point. You can use a sticker, a die cut that you might have, some kind of washi tape, anything that suits your project or that you find pretty for your papercraft. I'm going to use the butterfly for the one and then a mushroom for the other. A great place to find focal points is also magazines, and you could even use a wax seal. You could also leave the focal point off at this point and just create the bases of your embellishments and then just add the focal point when you're actually adding it to your journal or your project, once you know what the theme is, and you can then connect it to match the rest of the theme. The next thing I'm going to add is a small piece of cheesecloth underneath my focal point. This is to add some texture and some interest and to help the focal point pop. My mushroom stem is white and I'm not feeling that it is suiting the project, so I'm just going to fill that in with some ink and my blending brush. The final element I'm going to use is some Hessian string. You could also use some thread or some ribbon. I'm going to wrap the piece of Hessian string 3 times around 2 of my fingers to create some loops. I'm going to place these under my focal point base, the circle that I created earlier. I'm going to place them to the left and they're going to be sticking out off the embellishment stack. If you're using thread, you can just scrunch it up and place it in the same location. So just to go over the 7 elements again, as I'm gluing this down, we have 3 strips of paper, each a different length but a similar width, and we stick this one on top of the other, overlapping and allowing some of each one to be shown. For this part, you could also use vellum or tissue paper, and it's a great way to use up scraps. I've just quickly trimmed this slightly smaller. I'm just using my ruler to tear them. I like the rough edges, and that's just to allow more of the underneath ones to show. To hold the Hessian loops in place, I'm going to use a stapler. You could also glue them. I'm just using a stapler because I'm going to be sticking elements over them so you won't see the staples, although I don't mind seeing staples. I think it adds to the aesthetic. Next, I'm going to stick down the focal point base. If you don't have cheesecloth for the next step, you could also use a piece of fabric or even a piece of tissue paper. And then the last step is adding the focal point on the very top. And that is the 7-piece embellishment stack with a formula. I really hope you enjoyed this video and my formula and were inspired to create your own. These can be added to journal cards, to envelopes, or just directly onto your junk journal page. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and then hit the little bell so you're notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy creating, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.